So in today's video, I'm talking about how to manage anger issues and emotional triggers. So in this video, I'm going to share my 3-step process for how to identify and manage anger issues so you don't hurt yourself or the ones you love. But if you're new, my name is Michelle Ferris. I'm a psychotherapist and I love helping people create relationships at work. So what are emotional triggers? They're basically an intense reaction to something that's happening in the present that actually reminds you of something painful and unresolved from your past. This could be something like your partner is late and you feel abandoned, or your partner gives you some critical feedback and you feel personally attacked. Those are some common examples of triggers. And the key is when we're emotionally triggered, we tend to get angry. Now, some common emotional triggers are feeling disrespected, feeling taken advantage of, having your feelings dismissed or ignored, feeling left out or abandoned. Those are some common triggers people experience in their relationships. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down what are your emotional triggers. And I also want you to write down what situations or people tend to trigger those feelings in you. We want to know where that tends to happen so that you can make a plan accordingly. And I'm going to help you do that in this video. Now, if you've ever felt triggered and you want help, say me too in the comments because this video is going to help. Now, the next question I get asked a lot is, can anger be healthy? So the biggest difference between unhealthy and healthy anger is where you put your focus. Unhealthy anger, you're basically making somebody else wrong. You're blaming them for how you feel. But in healthy anger, we're actually expressing our concerns and our upset in a direct way without making the person feel bad or wrong. We're basically saying something like, I feel really upset when you don't show up and not respond to my texts. Notice what I'm doing there. I'm actually naming the behavior in a neutral way, which helps me get heard. What we don't want to do is we don't want to say, you were late and you made me feel like an idiot. Those are you messages, and that is a form of unhealthy anger that we want to avoid. So let's talk about how to manage anger issues and emotional triggers. The first step is you need to identify the feeling, and there are 4 ways to do that, and I talk a lot about this in detail in my Calming Anger Zoom class. The first one is physical signs of anger, like rapid heart rate, muscle tension, clenched jaw, stomach ache. What is physically happening in your body that tells you you're starting to get upset? The next one is emotional signs. Instead of just identifying the anger, which is pretty obvious at that point, what are some early feelings that start in the beginning of your upset? Like, are you feeling annoyed? Are you feeling confused? Are you feeling disrespected? Are you feeling sad or overwhelmed? What are those feelings that tell you you're starting to get upset? The next one is behavioral signs. This is basically, what are you doing when you're getting angry? For instance, you might get up and pace the room, or you might grab a cigarette or a drink of alcohol. Some people start to swear, or they start to blame their partner. What are some of the things you find yourself doing as you're getting upset? Because all of those are going to help you identify how upset you are. Now, the last one I go into a lot more detail in my course, and that's identifying your negative thoughts, because anger starts here. How you are interpreting a specific situation and what somebody else's intentions are is really the story you're creating that leads to your unhealthy anger. So for instance, if somebody didn't invite me to a party, I might invent a whole story about how they don't like me and how they purposely did this to hurt me, especially if I've had that experience growing up. Then I'm going to probably be more susceptible to reading a situation a certain way. So in our negative thinking, we want to look at what negative assumptions are you making that's causing you to get angry. Could you be struggling with negative self-talk, which is negative thoughts about yourself? Or are you focused more on negative thoughts about other people and life in general? Because those negative thoughts are really important to identify, because our thoughts create our feelings and then create our behavior. So the second step for how to manage angry feelings and emotional triggers is you need to do something to take care of those feelings immediately. Don't wait. This is the biggest mistake people make, is that they think, well, it's not that important, I'm not really that upset, so they don't handle it. But when we don't face our feelings, they tend to grow and they intensify over the course of a day or weeks or months, and I don't want that for you. Another common mistake people make is that they don't leave a destructive conversation. They actually stay because they want to advocate. They want to talk it out. But the problem is that if you're not calm, research shows you're not going to be able to listen and hear what the other person is saying correctly. Because when we get angry and we're in that fight, flight, or freeze response, we're not thinking clearly. So research shows that you're actually more likely to misinterpret what's being said to you and hear it in a more negative way because you're not calm enough to hear it. And here's my rule of thumb. If you can't listen, you shouldn't be talking. That's your signal that tells you you're probably too upset to stay in that conversation. So really the key here is to remove yourself and do something to calm down. Now, your third step for how to manage angry issues and emotional triggers is that you need to wait until both of you are calm enough to go back and resolve the issue. I can't tell you how many people have said, oh, I took a 5-minute timeout and I went back and we got into it again. That's because the person probably didn't take a long enough break. They only took 5 minutes, which research shows it actually takes the body 20 minutes to calm down from that fight or flight response. And the second part of this is both people have to be calm enough to resume the conversation. Oftentimes people think, I have to resolve the issue immediately. I can't hold on to it. But does that really work for you? Because part of what happens when we do that is we feel compelled to talk things out in the moment, but if we're not calm enough to do that, it's going to go south again really quickly, and I don't want that for you. So the third step here is to really pick your time wisely and wait. Wait until you are calm enough and the other person is calm enough too. Because when one person is calm and the other person isn't, it's not going to go well either. So here are some additional tips I want to give you for managing anger. Don't dismiss your anger or make yourself wrong for it. You are not wrong for feeling the way you feel. Please don't tell yourself you're being too sensitive or you're wrong, you shouldn't be upset, because I guarantee if you and I sat down and you told me the story of why you were angry, I could validate it in about 2 minutes. Because everybody has a right to feel what they feel, because even if it doesn't make sense in the moment, it's probably traced back to some important event or story in your life that is really causing the upset. The next thing is, don't assume that your anger is all about what's happening in the present moment, because if it's really intense and you're triggered, it's most likely connected to something else in the past. And that is the power of understanding your triggers. Because if you know it's a trigger, then you can look at your partner differently and say, you know what, this isn't all about what's happening in the moment. It's about my trigger that belongs in the past, that I need to take responsibility for. And being able to deal with our triggers is super important in relationships, because otherwise we're reacting to our partner all over the place. And really the idea of anger management and dealing with your triggers is to be able to take responsibility for them and to find healthy ways to work through your triggers. And that's honestly why I created my anxiety and triggers journal that I'll link in the comments too. So the next step I want you to do is I want you to go watch my video on how to stop negative thinking. Thanks so much.